Dreamscape presents Dreaming of Rome by T.A. Williams, narrated by Tanya Eby. Chapter 1. It was a magical setting, and everywhere she looked, there was romance in the warm evening air, but not at their table, and that was just fine with her. They were sitting under a parasol on the west side of Piazza Navona in the heart of Rome. She was sipping Prosecco, while he had opted for cold beer. The sun had dropped low on the horizon by now, and the ground was already in the shade, although the residual heat from the scorching July sun still radiated up from the cobbles. The top of the obelisk, rising from the center of Bernini's spectacular fountain of the Four Rivers in the middle of the square, was tipped ruby red by the last rays of the setting sun, and the shadow it cast against the buildings on the opposite side lengthened by the minute. All around them in this pedestrians-only area were crowds of happy people, mostly tourists, laughing and chatting. Along with the tourists were also lots of Romans, like the man sitting alongside her. Conversation between the two of them wasn't exactly flowing, even now. In the car on the way back into the city center, he had barely uttered a word. And Joe hadn't wanted to disturb his concentration as he weaved the battered little Fiat in and out of the traffic chaos that Romans accept as an everyday fact of life. She had lost count of the time she had found her right foot stamping the floor in search of a non-existent brake pedal, her hands gripping the seatbelt apprehensively as he slipped confidently between lines of cars, often 4 or 5 abreast, narrowly avoiding being crushed by buses that sliced imperiously through the traffic. Gradually, she had started to relax as she realized he knew what he was doing, but her palms were sticky by the time they reached their destination, a tiny, narrow road where he had a flat with a garage, a rarity in the center of the city. Joe had been encouraged by the presence of his dog. Throughout the journey, Daisy the Labrador had stood braced on the floor behind her, tail wagging, swaying with every movement of the car. The back seat was folded down, so she was right behind Joe, and she leant forward from time to stick her big black nose out of the window as she spotted something of note. Normally, another dog. On several occasions, she felt compelled to bark a greeting or a challenge, and Joe's right ear was still ringing now as a result. However, the confident attitude of the big dog had reassured Joe. Although the idea of what 60 or 70 pounds of canine bone and muscle flying forwards might do to both of them if Corrado misjudged a maneuver and crashed the car was something she preferred not to contemplate. Now safely in the heart of the eternal city.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?